Hi, and welcome to the fourth and final episode of My Treatment. Here, you can watch a discussion between Dr. Peter Guest and myself about the conclusion of the project. Enjoy!
Okay, Sarah, so you've now done all the conservation on the curse tablets from Piercebridge. What did you find?
Well, it was quite interesting, really. So I've managed to open 7 of the 8 scrolls. So there was one scroll that, when I put it in the SEM, it showed that it had a high proportion of tin in it. In fact, it was almost 50-50. So that one was actually too brittle to open.
Fine.
So we haven't done anything with that one.
Yeah, so we leave that one to one side. The others, though, were purer lead and you could open them?
Yes, so the others were all approximately 98% lead. So a really high proportion. So they were really malleable and in really excellent condition. So I managed to get them all open. Now, unfortunately, 6 of them didn't have any inscriptions or any organic materials inside them.
Okay.
They were still fairly open, and I think whilst they were in the river, anything that would have been inside them was able to be washed out because they were quite filled with soil and things.
So just to interrupt, sorry, were those some of those that were like rolls rather than folded together? Because there were various types, weren't there?
Yes, yeah. So some of them were folded and almost pushed flat.
Yeah.
And then others were just rolled.
Okay.
And then a couple of them, there was kind of a mixture between.
As if they'd been rolled around something? To hold something in? You were talking about organics that might have decayed in the river?
Yeah, I'm not sure, to be honest. There's definitely a space in them. But as to whether that was to hold anything, I really probably wouldn't like to say.
Okay.
One of the ones which was rolled, which was our 7th one, however, was quite exciting.
Good.
So this was the one that was inscribed on the outside.
On the outside?
With the striations. So you can kind of just see them running along there.
Not entirely. Do you mind if I have a look with your lens?
No, of course. And there's also a light there. Feel free if you want to get.
So there are striations on there, which suggests to me that it's not Latin. You would have said writing if you'd meant writing.
Yes.
Ah.
So this, I think, is decorative.
Decorative. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
So that was on the outside.
Yeah.
And then if you turn it over,
yes.
then we've got some marks there. I wonder if you can see any.
Yes. They are. They're like little stick men, some of them, aren't
They are. They're quite difficult to see. They're very small. Now, I have photographed them and imaged them so you can get a better view.
Fabulous.
Right,
Yes.
so here's an image taken in raking light.
Yeah.
And you can see that we've got perhaps an X
Yeah.
there, an I there, and a V there.
But there are horizontal and vertical and diagonal lines,
Yeah,
aren't there? Interesting.
There are lots of different lines.
He looks like a little stick man. So, but what it doesn't look like is Latin. Either cursive, so the lower script, or to me anyway, or capital letters.
Yeah, there's been some discussion as to what they actually are and mean. So I've spoken to Roger Tomlin in Oxford.
Yeah.
And now he looked at a lead cursus for Cardiff University before.
Yes.
And actually that one had Latin inscriptions on it, which he transcribed for us. Now what he said, I sent him this image here, and he said that it looks like a chopping block.
A chopping block.
Yeah.
Right.
Perhaps for herbs or something similar. Now, I'm not actually that convinced with that explanation myself because of the size of the object.
Yeah. Very fine bits of herb.
Yes.
And also, I mean, Professor Tomlin may well be right, and he's seen hundreds of these.
Yeah.
But the little marks, I imagine if on like a breadboard at home, you get marks all along, don't you? These are very small and they stop, and it's almost as if they're sort of deliberately done.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you get a second opinion on that?
I did. I took the object to Professor John Himes here in Cardiff.
Yeah.
Yeah. And let me just get my notes up for him. Okay, so John was of the opinion that the striations on the outside were made with a finger knife
Right, okay, yeah.
because of the shape of them. So you can kind of see at the wider end where the tip has gone in and the actual cutting motion
Yeah,
like this.
yeah.
And then he looked at the other side and agreed with the XIV that he saw.
Right, so the letters or possible numbers.
Possible numbers is what we're really thinking now. And then he said that it's obviously any intention behind the act of writing or decorating the scroll has actually been lost, but that they were definite, deliberate marks that we have.
Intended as a means of communication, a written form of writing.
Yeah, quite possibly.
Okay.
So I also told Philippa what I found and sent her the same picture.
Oh, yes.
And she was very keen with the XIV and actually believed that it's a almost repeated pattern. So perhaps somebody is practicing. So what I've done here is I've taken the raking light image
Yeah.
and I've made it black and white so that none of the colour kind of disturbs what you're
Sure.
seeing. And I've gone over it and marked out where I think the deliberate marks have been
So you
made.
mean XIV,
Yeah.
XIV, or possible XIVs all over the place.
Absolutely. And then Philippa also recognised, the double line pattern
Yeah.
at the top and over each XIV almost. I mean, you can see here that I've done some microscopy images of some of the areas of decoration as well. And I had intended on looking at, I did look at it under the SEM. I was hoping that I could map it under the SEM so we could get a larger, very clearer image of the inscription. Unfortunately, and again because of the position of the light under the SEM, we were actually unable to get any of the decoration really out of it. So that exercise just wasn't worth that amount of time that we would have taken to put it.
Making a cast, is that possible? They're very thin.
Yes,
Very
so
superficial.
they are very thin. I have tried making a cast with dental silicone
Right.
already.
Yeah.
I managed to get some of the inscription out, but not all. So I'm actually waiting for a finer grade dental silicone to come into
Great.
the labs.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that over the next couple of weeks, I will be making a double side cast of it,
Yeah.
and then in an epoxy resin,
Yeah.
making a copy of that to return to the owner with it.
Fascinating. So is this the only one with any possible markings on the inside?
Yep, unfortunately, that is
Right.
the only one.
So of the 7 that you could open,
Yeah.
6 were blank, and this one is the only one with any marks on.
Yes.
And we're in the situation where 2 specialists in this kind of thing are in some disagreement.
Yep.
The professor from Oxford, who has seen hundreds of these cursed tablets, seems to suggest it doesn't remind him of anything he's seen before,
Yes.
and he's wondering if it had a different function. Whereas John Hines here wonders if they might be numbers that are repeated.
Yes, absolutely. And Philippa seems to agree with
Okay.
John's point of view as well.
Yes.
And I must say that I'm rather inclined to agree with John as well.
Yes.
But
But he's seen them in the flesh.
absolutely,
as it were,
this
hasn't
is the crucial difference, is that actually, because Roger is based up in Oxford,
Yeah.
he could only get images.
Yeah.
So I sent him the before and after image, whereas John has actually had a chance to see the object itself.
What's obvious, though, from what you've done, is that they are not similar to the other collections of cursed tablets that we know of and that Rome of Britain's so famous for, such as those from the temple to Mercury at Ely or the temple to to Sulis Minerva
Yeah.
at Bath. They're not as clear as that, are they?
No, they're definitely not. And even the baggage tag that was found up in Caerleon as well, the Latin on that was very clear, very straight, very linear,
Yeah.
written properly.
Yeah.
Whereas this is definitely not what we have.
No. So the question that you and I talked about last time we met,
Yeah.
as to what these objects are we any nearer to understanding them, do you think?
Well, I'd hope so. I mean, I don't think that they're fishing weights.
No.
And I think because of the quantity that Philippa has, I think they were definitely deposited deliberately. The fact that this one was decorated and that somebody took the time to decorate this means that there obviously was some intent and some reason behind its deposition. Whereas opposed to the other ones, yes, they might not have had anything inside them that we can see now, but it doesn't mean that they didn't have something inside them.
No, that's true. And also, it's interesting that the cursed tablets from the temple at Uli, around about half of them altogether were uninscribed.
Right.
That doesn't mean that they weren't originally around something, as you've already said. But for us today, when we find them, they're blank.
Yeah.
The other half did have inscriptions on, so it could be that practice was continued elsewhere at Piercebridge. It's a long way from between Piercebridge and the Severn or the River Avon, and it could easily be that different places in Roman Britain performed the same sorts of activities and rites, but in slightly different ways. We simply don't know, do we?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's nothing to say that maybe some of the other ones that Philippa has don't have inscriptions either.
So what's the next step then?
Well.
Is Philippa and are you and Philippa interested in looking at others, or is
I
that
would,
it?
I would be very interested. I'm going to have to speak to Philippa and see where we take the project from here.
But this stage is done.
This is absolutely all done.
We've done the job that, or you've done the job that you were asked to do.
Yep, I've produced the report and given Philippa all the information.
Great, and she's pleased.
She's pleased.
Good,
yes.
and everyone else is pleased.
I think so. Yeah.
And we still don't know what these things were.
And we still don't know what these things are.
Perfect. That means we need to open up another 50 or 100, and
Let's
then
do it,
we
yeah.
might know.
Absolutely.
Lovely. Well, thanks very much for showing me all these. Sarah. They're
Thanks.
great.
Right, that's it everyone. I hope you enjoyed watching all the episodes. I'll just take this opportunity to thank Philippa and all the experts and the staff at Cardiff University for their contributions to the project. And if you'd like to find out more about me and my other work, you can visit my website. Thanks for watching.